Hello, this tutorial will cover how to create some basic parts for a rover and also how to do the Ackerman steering geometry, whereas if you move the tie bar, the inside wheel moves a little bit more than the outside wheel. Ackerman steering is set up so that the center of the circle where you're turning around, the inside wheel is closer to that circle, so it's going to turn a little bit steeper. The outside wheel is farther away, so it can turn less steep. To set that geometry up, this point right here is called the Kingpin. That's where the steering knuckle, the brown part, pivots around the frame. This yellow part's the tie bar. And as long as the tie rod is located on this dotted red line from the Kingpin to the back center of the back axle, as long as the tie rod is on that dotted line, then your geometry will be set up for Ackerman steering. So we're going to go ahead in today's video. We're going to go ahead and create some of the frame components. We'll go ahead and create the front main beam right here, the back main beam, which kind of tapers down and nests inside of there. We'll go ahead and create the top leaf spring, the bottom leaf spring, the back cross beam, and we'll go ahead and stop there. The next video will cover the steering knuckles. Both of those are mirrored across, the tie rod back through there, the two wheels, and then the seat. So not only will we show how to create all these components, but how to joint them together in the proper way to make sure that the Ackerman steering works. And if your model is set up properly, you should be able to take the tie rod, kind of wiggle the wheels, and it should be pretty apparent that the inside wheel is turning more than the outside wheel. Okay, so we'll put that back to normal position. We'll go ahead. I'm going to close out of this. I've already got this saved, so I don't need to save that again. I'm going to start a new version. Make sure that you are saving this in your student folder. I'm going to save it in mine. We're going to go ahead, save this as Ackerman steering. And we'll call this one Model B. I've already got a Model A, so this is my next version of it. Once I know it's saved in the right spot, I'll go ahead and get rid of the model. The first thing we'll go ahead and do is make sure that we're working in inches. Make sure that our z-axis is up, and with that we can kind of go ahead and get started. I'm going to right click up here, start a new component. We'll call this one the front main beam. Say OK. It's going to go ahead and change this. Our top level now is an assembly. Since we've got some sub components down here, it's created a sub component and it has it activated. So we'll go ahead and expand that so we can see our parts. First thing we'll do is we'll create a sketch. And we'll go ahead and create it right here about the origin. We'll select this plane. And I'm going to use the origin as the center of my main beam. We're going to start with a center rectangle. I'll put the center right there. We'll say that our main beam is going to be 3 inches by 5 inches. That was roughly the size of the composite frame last year. Once I've got that, I can take the offset command, grab this, and I'm going to scoot it to the inside. And we'll say that our frame will be negative 0.125. We'll say it's 1/8 of an inch thick. Kind of modeling the composite frame, some parts of the composite frame from last year. Go ahead and hit extrude, grab that intersection, and we'll go ahead and have it come forward this way. It's in the negative direction, so we'll say this is negative 48 inches. Frames are usually in the order of about 4 feet. I'm not going to worry about getting all these specific dimensions correct. I am going to make sure that I put dimensions in for everything, so you can see how to do that, but I'm not worried about if the frame should be 48 or 49 or 46 inches. We'll go ahead and round these corners. Come up here and grab the fillet command. You can grab the top corner as well as the inside corner. Over here I can grab this outside corner, and if I come here to the face, I can grab the inside corner as well. Move down here to the bottom, grab the inside corner and the outside edge, and then same thing. Grab the inside edge, you can see it turns blue, and then grab the outside edge, and it turns blue as well. And when you look in the dialog box, you can see that you have 8 inches. And we'll go ahead and kind of move that in, and you can either just do the arrow, or you can just type in 1 inch, but we'll do a 1 inch round, 1 inch fillet on all that. And that is going to be our main beam. We'll go ahead and hit A for appearance. We'll put some blue paint on that. Okay. For appearance, you hit A on your keyboard. I've got the paint section expanded already. So yours should look like this. You can scroll down and click paint. Click on glossy and then just grab those. So that's my first component. We'll go ahead and shrink that back down. I'm going to go ahead and right click and create another component. And this is going to be the back main beam. I'm going to hit OK. For this one, we'll create a sketch. And you can see that my sketch plane is right there at the end of that. And I'm going to come all the way around and look at the back side of this model. Yeah, and we'll select this plane right here as our sketch plane. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and project all of these parts of geometry. So I'm going to select the whole body, and I want all of that in my sketch. So this part of the beam that we're going to draw right now is going to be inside of the main beam. This will be the little part that's tapered down. So I'm going to grab the offset tool. I'm going to grab this inside part. I'm going to move it in. Oops, select. Okay. I'm going to pull it in negative 0.0625. We're going to pull it inside a 1/16 of an inch. That's really the gap. That'll be the gap between the outside frame and the inside. If you try to grab this, a lot of times it doesn't like the fact that you're grabbing it. It says, hey, you've already offset that, and go back to the original. So we'll go ahead and grab the original line. And I'm going to come in a 1/16 plus another 1/8 of an inch. So a 1/16 is 0.0625, and 1/8 is 0.125. So that's going to be 3/16, which is negative 0.18. Oops, 175. So sorry. 1875. Sorry. That's why we have you memorize the 16ths table. Okay. So I've got those lines on there. So this should be an 1/8 of an inch thick, and that's the front main beam. And this is the part that will be nested inside. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this sketch. I'm going to kind of come back here to my angled view so I can see what's going on. I'm going to extrude this. I'm going to go 2 sides. I'm going to grab this profile. One part will come in here and will come down however much we want it to overlap. I'll just go ahead and say 8 inches. I'm going to grab this other arrow and we'll have that stick out just 1/2 inch. So that's the smaller tapered section. Overlaps on the inside by 8 inches and sticks out by 1/2 inch. So we'll go ahead and say OK. We're still inside of this. All of our bodies and sketches are inside this back main beam. We're going to keep going here. I'm going to construct an offset plane. From where I were, this plane right here at the origin is right there. It's the 1/2 inch and the 8 inches. It's right there in between those two. So I'm going to select this plane, and I'm going to go forward another 1.5 inches. So I'll just type in 1.5 and hit OK. And what we're going to do is we're going to sketch on that offset plane. And all I want to do is create a projection of our normal sized beam. I already have the small beam right there. We'll go ahead and OK. So hopefully you can see this is the normal size beam, and right here this is the smaller beam that's tucked inside. So I've got a sketch profile here, and I also need to create another sketch. We'll finish this one. I'm going to create another sketch on that plane. And same thing, all I need to do is project this thin geometry. Project. And said OK. Finish sketch. So I've got the profile of this thin face, or the smaller face that's on the inside, and I've got the profile of this, which is the normal size. And to go from here to here, we're going to come over here to the Create menu, and we're going to do the Loft command. It wants me to pick two profiles. I'm going to pick this profile and that profile, and it just, let me go ahead and hit OK. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Okay, it did the whole thing, not just this section. So let me come back to the sketch. That's the small tapered section. This is the big one. Turn this back on again, and this time we'll just loft. Another way, we'll take this center section. I'm going to hold down my left mouse button, and I want to do that profile right there, that intersection. This time we'll cut. There we go. I can turn off the two sketches. And now I've got a nice hollow beam. So this smaller section nests inside the big one, and then this comes back out, and this is the normal size. This profile is the same size as this one. So that we can keep going on. We'll create another, well, I can just turn sketch 2 back on. I can do a normal extrude. I can grab this profile right here. We can push that back. And we've already got 1/2 inch sticking out, another 1.5 inches. So this we can just take out to 46.5 inches. And that should be about 48 from our origin. Okay. We'll go ahead and come back up to the main menu, turn off those sketches, and let, you can hit the A key, or I can just come up here to the back main beam. I can right click on here and come down to Appearance. The shortcut key is A. I can click on Appearance. And we'll take this blue. Let me go ahead and duplicate it. I'm going to right click and I'm going to edit it. And we'll just make it a little bit of a different shade of blue. Say done, and we'll put that shade of blue on the whole back thing. Okay, so I've got my front main beam and my back main beam. I'm going to open this back up again just so I can remember. Okay, we start doing the leaf spring. Okay. So for the leaf spring, let's take a look at it just for a second. Not only does the leaf spring have a little bit thicker of a profile here in the center and then kind of taper down. It's kind of, I guess, a trapezoid shape where it starts thick in the center and then gets skinnier out there. But if we rotate, it also swoops kind of down like the leaf springs we used last year. And this may or may not be what we're going to do this year, but we'll just go ahead and show you how to do that. so you know how it's done. So we'll go ahead. We're going to use the loft command again. I'm going to draw a rectangular profile up here. I'm going to draw a rectangular profile out here. And then we're trying to draw a little line that kind of has that swoop to it. So first thing we want to do is make sure that we right click and start a new component. And we'll call this leaf spring. And hit OK. We'll create a sketch. We'll go in this center plane. And I will project in the geometry I already have. So that line's purple. It's in my sketch now. We'll do a little rectangle. We'll snap it there. And once again, we'll say that our carbon fiber is going to be 1/8 of an inch thick. Hit the tab key, and we'll say it's 8 inches thick here at the front of the rover. And that, I think it looks good. So I got this rectangle closed profile on top of my other one. So we'll finish that sketch. I need another profile that's kind of out here where the wheel is going to be. So I'm going to construct an offset plane. Same plane I drew the other one on, but this time we'll scoot it out. We'll say about 2 feet, about 24 inches. We'll say OK. I'm going to create another sketch out of here on this one. And I'm not really sure where I want this one. We'll say 0.125, it's the same thickness. And instead of 8 inches long, it's going to taper. We'll have it down to taper to 3 inches. So there's my rectangle. This is kind of anywhere it wants to be. So we'll just leave it there for the minute, and then we'll kind of come back. We'll finish that sketch. So I've got it out here, it's just kind of floating. I'm going to do another sketch. Can I sketch on the front of this? Yeah. You can see when I hover over this, it puts the plane on the front side. So I'm going to select the front of that as my sketch plane. And now I kind of want to do the swoop, for lack of a better term. So I'll come up here and create a point. I'm not going to click on any of that stuff out there. I'm just going to put this point out here, somewhere where it's not connected to anything. It's just out in the middle of nowhere. We'll go from the center of our beam out here. If you kind of just come out, it's going to come diagonal. Make sure you come straight down. What's this going to be? This will be the end of our leaf spring. So we'll say about 24 inches. That's fine. And then how much of a drop we want to have. We'll go from the origin to here. And we'll say that we'll drop it down 3 inches from the center of our channel. Okay, and now I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to go from this point on the top of my beam. Click it there. I'm going to kind of zoom out a little bit. I'm going to put a point here in the middle of nowhere, and then a third point right there in the end, and then hit the check mark. Now we've got these green handles that's going to adjust how this thing is going to move. First thing I want to do is I want to specify where this point is. So I'm going to grab that point to our origin, and we'll say 12 inches, just so it's halfway. And then from here, we'll do the drop down. And if that's 3, we'll just put it right in the middle, 1.5. Okay, hit the escape key. I'm going to select this line. Those handles pop back up. I want this to kind of come in. If I make this line horizontal, this is going to kind of come up here and be flat across the top. The skinnier I have these coming in, the tighter of a circle it is. The farther out I come, go back up. Oh, and somehow it thought I wanted to lock it onto there. So I'm going to grab this constraint and hit delete so I can grab this handle. And I want it horizontal, and I want it fairly wide so that it's flat up there. That looks good to me. Click the line again. I want this one to be flat as well, so that when it comes in at the wheelbase, it's kind of flat as well. And you get these lines right here. I can come in here and put the horizontal. Oops, I have the point selected. Excuse me. I can grab that line, hit the horizontal constraint. It kind of locks it in horizontal. I can come up here, do the same thing. And then I can click the line. I can grab these green handles. It actually looks pretty good just like that. But same thing, the more I stretch these out, the more it's going to mess with that curve and do all sorts of weird things to it. So I kind of liked where it was before. So I'm just going to undo that. I'll leave it right there because that looks good to me. So that's the swoop part. Okay, I can kind of finish that sketch. Kind of come back over here. So now this is where the thing's going to end. So let me see if I can't come back into this sketch, edit it. I'm going to edit it while it's out here at the angle. No, and my other sketch is over here. I should have done the swoop first. So, great thing about the timeline. This is the swoop sketch. This is the other one. So I'm going to drag the swoop sketch. I'm going to drag it backwards and put it there. So now the swoop sketch happened before the other sketch in my timeline. So now when I come over here to edit this one, which is sketch 2, I can edit that. The swoop sketch is still there. So let me see if I can go ahead and hit the midpoint. I want the midpoint of this line on that dot. So now that takes that sketch and puts it on the center. Oh, this is on the end. Son of a gun. Okay. So I did my swoop sketch in the wrong spot. So let me see if I can fix it. No, I can't. So I'm going to undo that midpoint constraint. So this is hanging out here in the middle of nowhere. I'm going to create another offset plane. Whoops, not a sketch, sorry. Construct an offset plane. And instead of coming, I want to be right out here at the middle of this line is where I want it. So if that's 48, it's 48 to the end. It's 8 inches long, so I have to back off 4 inches. Okay, get to suffer with me through my mistakes. So now I'm going to create a new sketch on this plane. I'll be able to look at it and see what I'm doing. I want to project this curve that I did the first time. Oh, come on. Be nice. Selection filter. There we go. So I'm taking this line that I drew off the front of my beam and I'm projecting it on the plane that's in the middle of that rectangle because that's where I want it. So I'm going to click this line and it should put the projection right there. So this should be the middle of this rectangle and I put the middle of this rectangle on that dot over there. That's what I wanted to do. So we'll finish that sketch. I'm going to have an extra one. So this one is sketch 2. I'm going to edit sketch 2. Oh, the same thing. My second swoop sketch happened after sketch 2, so it's not available. Oh, this tutorial should be how to fix Scribs' mistakes. Okay, so same thing. I want this sketch, which is 5, to happen oh, it's not letting me move back in time. Okay, so I'll just delete sketch 2 then. Be that way. Okay, so I've got my line right here that I want now. I've got my construction planes. I got a couple of them. This is the one that's out here, 24 inches. So let me create a sketch on this plane. This will be a little bit weird, but I'm going to go ahead and sketch on this diagonal plane. Do my rectangle. I'm going to put it near this purple one, not right on top of it. Make it 0.125 1/8 of an inch thick. And this one we'll do just 3 inches like we did before. And hit enter. And then now, same thing, I'm going to do the midpoint of this bottom line onto that purple dot. There we go. Finish sketch. So this blue one, sketch 3, we don't need to see that anymore. So what we're going to do to make this part is we're going to come up here to the loft command again. I'm going to take this profile and this profile, and when I just click on them, it just does a straight line between the two like it did before. But this time I'm going to click a rail, and I want it to follow this path. And not only do I have the swoop, go ahead and hit OK, but if I look at it from the top, I've got the taper. It starts out with a 8-inch chord length, comes down here to the 3-inch. So it tapers and it swoops. Okay. So I'm still in this leaf spring command up here. So we're going to come over here to create a mirror. We're going to take this entire body and we're going to mirror it across this plane. That's why symmetry is nice. Objects with that body. There you go. We're going to hit OK and join those two together. So now I've got most of my top leaf spring. I'm going to come back here to this top view again real quick. Let me show what I'm doing. I'm going to create a sketch on this plane right here. And I need to drill some holes in here so I can put our suspension in it here in a minute. So I got to project. Always got to project your geometry so you've got it in there. Okay. So now I can do a circle in here, and we'll say a 1/2-inch hole, and then we got to dimension this. Let's have it be 1 inch from the end, and then from this top corner down to here, say 1.5. So that should center it vertically and have it just be 1 inch from the end. And if we need to change any of those, if we were making this vertical, we certainly could. And then I need to do the same thing over there. So let me just go ahead and do another mirror. I want to mirror this circle, the mirror line right here in the center. So now I've got another hole over there. Okay. So I've got that sketch plane right there. And then all we're going to do is use this to just drill holes through the leaf spring. We'll extrude that hole and that hole. And we can, don't have to be fancy, and just drag them all the way down through. Goes the cut. And we're good. We'll right click on the leaf spring, hit appearance, and we'll just go ahead and make this green. Okay, once I'm finished with that, I can go ahead, turn off all my sketches, minimize those, go back up to my main section. And I've got 3 components so far. When I'm up here on the main selection, and this is activated, I'm going to go ahead and select my leaf spring. I'm not going to activate it. I'm just going to select it. I'm going to right click and say copy. Just select out here in the white space. I'm going to right click and say paste. And I'm just going to drag this one down a little bit and just kind of leave it hanging out right there. And say OK. So now I've got the second leaf spring. Now we'll do some joints. I'm going to take this main beam right here. I'm going to right click this and ground it. That way it won't move. This back beam, we're going to come over here to assemble as built. I'm going to select the front component and the back component. I want these two to be able to slide, and it's asking me to place a joint origin. So I want it to slide, yeah, we'll say this way. Make sure I grab that line. Yeah, back and forth like that. Okay. Because these two parts will slide in and out of each other. It's not going to pivot in the center. It'll slide and then we'll put a hole through it. Okay, so now if I try to move this back piece, all I can do is slide relative to the first one. So we'll revert that back. I grab the blue one, it's not going to move. The green ones still move all over the place though. So this one is already drawn in the proper place, so we can come back to as built joint, grab this component and the blue component, make sure that they're rigid, and it's just going to lock them into place just like that. So now if I try to grab it, it's not going to move. This one still moves. So this time we'll do a normal joint, and I'm going to grab this top surface, this kind of line right here, and I want to make sure this is facing upwards. So I can kind of click that. I'm going to come to the underside of my blue beam, grab this face and hit Control or Command on a Mac. Click right there, and those two things should walk together. Okay, so we got the front, the back, and the two beams. We need a rear beam across the back of there. So we'll go ahead and right click, do a new component. We'll say back cross beam. We'll hit OK. We'll sketch in over on this plane. Same thing, we're going to project in this geometry so we know where let's cover the whole body. I'm going to hit OK. And then same thing, we're going to draw that rectangular, same kind of cross section we do over here. So I'm going to start with a center point rectangle. I'm going to draw it out in space. And this one will be 5 tall and 3 wide, the same as the other one. And then I can use the midpoint. I want this dot to be on the midpoint of that line. So that locks it in to the right spot. Hit escape to get out of the midpoint command. And then we'll do the offset trick again. We'll grab this and pull it in by negative 0.125. That's the thickness of our beam. I think we can go ahead and just finish that. And then when we extrude this part, we can grab both of those sections. We'll go symmetric, and we'll say that the half distance is 24. Okay. So we've got that. Let's go ahead and fillet this the same way we did the one before it. I'm going to grab the fillet command and grab the outside and inside, outside, inside, inside, outside, inside, and outside. I've got 8 of them. Last time we did an inch. We'll do the same thing here. Say OK. All right. That was pretty good. Right click on here for appearance. Let's go duplicate, edit this, and we'll just go another shade of blue so that all our beams are blue. Done. And we'll drag that on the back one. Close. We'll fit everything in the window, come up to our top level, and now we should have, and these are kind of overlapping. This is a little bit of a sloppy design. I can use this beam to cut that beam. So let's go and do it. I guess I shouldn't tell you about it and not explain how to do it. So we'll come over here to the modify command. Okay, and we're going to combine. And I want to tool body. This is my tool. Operation, I want to cut. The target body is this. This is the one that's going to get cut by this other piece. Let me make sure I got that right. Target body is this one. The tool body is this. So we'll use this one to cut. The other one looks better. And then we'll say, I want to keep the tool and hit OK. So now there's no extra geometry if I kind of peek down inside it. Oops. Oh, okay. So I can get rid of this slides. You can see I've got this chunk out here now. That's a different body. So let me see if I can get back into this back main beam. Click on bodies. There's the main one. There's that little chunk and that little chunk. So we'll just go ahead and delete that. It's not going to do that. So we'll just turn off the visibility. Okay, we'll come back and revert to position. And now you can see that this back main beam is cut to fit around the other one. Okay, so we'll minimize that. Come back here. We'll turn off the joints. And that should be good. We got the, make sure I got everything. The back, front, and the leaf springs. Okay, looking good. So we've got all of our frame pieces set. We'll go ahead and save this. Call this frame. In the next video, we'll keep working on the steering knuckles, the tie bar, tie rod, wheels, and how to set up the Ackerman geometry. Thanks.